fun begins.
Hello? Hello, welcome to the Council. We begin tonight's meeting of the Council by calling the Council to order. Hello to everyone and thank you for joining us. Council is a live Twitch talk show and podcast discussing Star Wars The Old Republic. I'm Elise, and with me are my fellow Council members, Sakari.
Hello, everybody.
Bredna.
I don't know if you can hear me. Hi.
It looks.
Oh, you can. Good.
And Magic Ace sadly will not be able to join us tonight. So it's just us three.
Yes, indeed.
And so for tonight's episode, we three are going to be discussing other games and Star Wars The Old Republic. And specifically, those other games that are competing with Star Wars The Old Republic and mostly really on kind of a business model perspective. So I think we've got some buy-to-plays, some subscriptions, and some free-to-plays that we're going to talk about.
Yes.
So
yes.
that is what we're going to be talking about tonight.
All right, and I do want to insert a note at this stage right here that our title graphic tonight is courtesy of SWTOR, who graciously allowed us to plagiarize. I guess if we cite her now, we're not plagiarizing, are we? she let us take it from her.
Yes, we cited our source. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
Yeah. But she agreed that we could
use.
use it graciously, so thank you very much, SWTOR. I'm going to put into chat right at this moment a link to the video from which we got that graphic. She did a video today, interestingly enough, on the exact same topic that we're discussing tonight. So I think it's interesting that we're all thinking the same way. But it's just basically a comparison of other free-to-play MMOs that are out there. And their business models and what you get in the free-to-play package and how SWTOR stacks up in comparison. It's a fascinating video, so definitely be sure to go check that out.
And I would just like to say that I subscribed to SWTOR, and this popped up on my feed, but I have not actually watched it. I just saw it, and I was like, oh.
It's like 6 minutes long, so it's, I know, it was right exactly.
It was like,
Yeah,
like,
right.
oh, what?
Just a few days after, Sakari canceled last week when we were supposed to be doing this.
That's true.
He was incapacitated at the time.
I was. I had a muscle in my back that just seized up, and if I moved, it would seize up again. I've never had cramps like that in my life.
Couldn't even reach the liquor in order to get the muscles relaxed.
I was just lying on my bed, just like hoping, like the less I could move, the better. It was awful. So I appreciate everybody's patience in letting me destroy a show. I guess we've got to figure out how to make things work in my, so that I can be the blue deal.
Well, and in Magic Ace's absence, I guess I'll just say that after the live broadcast, you can find our recorded episodes everywhere podcasts are found and on our YouTube channel. Check out our social media and don't forget to follow us on Twitch. You can find our Facebook page at facebook.com/thecouncilswotor, our Twitter at thecouncilswotor, and our website at www.thecouncilswotor.com. You can also find our Patreon page at patreon.com/thecouncilswotor.
Yes.
I'm done.
Okay.
It's your turn.
All right. So you can tell when one of us is out, everything else is kind of off kilter. It's like a car with three wheels. But okay, so the icebreaker question for the evening. As you know, from week to week, icebreaker is just a question out there to get the discussion going, as if we have a problem getting the discussion going. So the question this week is, what have you been up to game-wise lately? Redna, how about we start with you?
Well, so what I've been doing is actually very slowly and patiently, including a lot of not making choices in order to have more time to write. I'm actually writing my thoughts about the story of the game in detail, so that hopefully at some point in the future we'll be able to do kind of a deep dive breakdown of the state of the story, where we're at and how I felt we got there, and what some of the plot holes are and stuff like that, which has actually been, it sounds like minutia and boring, but it's actually been really, really delightful. I think it's mostly because the story has returned to a spot where I can actually think creatively about it and what it entails, rather than what we went through with all the chapter storytelling, when I was basically spending every chapter saying, "This is absurd. I don't have a single choice that I want to make. This is absurd. My character would never be in this situation. This is ridiculous. I would have myself imprisoned and taken out of society rather than go through this." But yeah, that's where I am with the game.
Sounds like a frustrating place to be.
No, that now I'm enjoying exploring nuance. That where I was the frustrating.
Right. Yeah. No.
Other than that, I have a 9-month-old at home, so I don't have a lot of other time.
Or sanity or sleep.
That's right. Especially with these holidays, it's like, man, I can't even get away for a few hours.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah. And when it's cold as well, you don't want to go out. So that means everybody's got cabin fever, and then sometimes the fresh air does you. So what have I been up to game lately? I have to confess, I haven't done a lot of SWTOR at all. It's probably been 2 weeks since I've played, and it's interesting. I kind of play vicariously through my wife, who's still playing pretty seriously. She's gotten into a ranked PvP, and yeah, she doesn't joke around, and she gets in there. And I mean, the ranked environment is every bit as toxic as it always has been. Rolls with it. People are like, "This healer sucks. Who are you? You're boo. Here are your numbers, whatever." And she's like, "You die first." And the next round, she just doesn't heal them. It's just great.
That's great.
Yeah, so I've been kind of playing.
That's actually exactly how I rank PvP as well. When I'm a healer, it's like, "Oh, you're gonna complain? I'll give you something to complain about."
That's like the number one rule of group play is do not make the healer angry.
Dude, this is not just SWTOR either. I mean, this is literally every single PvP oriented game I've ever played. MOBAs are even worse. But it's like you understand that spending that much time and energy, and oh, by the way, you're busy typing, railing against your own teammate is entirely counterproductive.
Yeah.
Like, you are not a functional member of society if you think this is the right way to work with a team.
And you know what the thing is that everybody, to me, it's so brute level stupid to blame the healer every time something goes wrong, because situations are so much more complicated than that, and like if you were a line of sighting the healer, or if you ran off and like you're out of the healer's range or whatever, I mean, there's the puddle heal only, it's a group heal. It only,
or you don't use defenses like, "Hey, I'm not a tank, I'm DPS. You're supposed to keep me alive." Okay, well, you don't use the defensive, I won't use my heal on you.
Exactly. It's just like this. It's such a more complicated picture than I think people are blaming the healer. But I've been able to watch over her shoulder. She's been doing some of the new content as well. She has more patience than I do with the Ossus dailies. Plays those pretty diligently. Whereas at this stage, I have to confess, I'm feeling decently burned out, and have been channeling my time into the early access of Anthem pretty seriously. So that's kind of where my time has been, at least for the last weekend. And then kind of doing other things, preparing for that. Other than that, so that's where I am. Elise, what have you been up to game wise the last couple of weeks since the last time we met?
Well, sadly, the adventures of the hockey mom continue.
So, no, that was the wrong kind of game.
That's the game I've been doing. I have my...
yeah, we're talking the digital worm here, okay?
all of us hockey moms, this weekend I was in Cleveland for a tournament, and we all arm knitted these scarves with our kids' team's colors.
You made this?
Yes.
Oh, wow, very nicely
That's what we
done.
do while drinking, trying to look motherly, while we're watching the kids, trying not to hurt themselves too bad because they had the championship game to do this morning. And we're doing
drinking and look motherly go together in conversation?
Do when you don't have a beer, when you have it in a glass that nobody can see.
Dude, it's hockey. Beer is a part of the picture.
Exactly. All the fathers are drinking hockey and beer in the thing, so the kids are running around. Anyway, so yes, we did this. So sadly, my game time has gone down from at least about 5 days a week to now like 2 or 3 for the last month and a half.
And you're a very eclectic gamer too. So
I am. It really hurts.
Well, you really should tell your son to, stop being successful. The season would end sooner if he quit winning.
You need to spend more time in your basement gaming.
That's right.
If he wasn't on a travel team, I would have way more time. Then we took the PlayStation and the Xbox with us this weekend, and we could not get the TV that we had work.
I can't see you as a mobile gamer either. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like on your phone.
No, they're really
Galaxy of Heroes.
No, That's why I was so excited about Blades, the Bethesda mobile game that was the Elder Scrolls game, the Blades mobile game. I was super duper excited about that, but it's been pushed back and they haven't announced when it's going to come down.
Raden's got something going.
Is that KOTOR? Because I have KOTOR on my phone, by the way.
No, that's the loading screen for Galaxy of Heroes.
I tried it, but it's just not. I don't like turn-based games, really.
It's actually it's an interesting game that I don't know how easy it is to even get into. I know this is a tangent, but I don't know how easy it is to even get into anymore. When I started this game, it didn't have guild raids. It didn't have space combat. It didn't have like all of these different features. It didn't even have freaking mods for your gear, right? And now it's like there's all the
learning
stuff
curve.
like right. And I could see somebody coming in and just being like just stymied by the overabundance of, oh my God, I have to absorb how much. And then on top of that, because there's actually so much and you're supposed to do so much of every aspect in a day, like I could see somebody also, if they don't have the time or, the efficiency of knowing exactly where to go type, do what, to get that daily stuff out of the way, they might not even have enough time in the day to do all the dailies, know?
And on a mobile platform, do you know what I'm saying? Do I really want to spend that much time looking at my phone?
Yeah, my husband is all into some mobile games. He likes some mobile games. But anyway, if we want to talk about actual games that I got to touch in the last couple weeks, I played the Anthem Open demo, then I played Early Access because I'm a Premier member, and then I played the Division
2
closed beta, the Division 2 closed beta. I think the open weekend is this weekend, maybe? No, March 1st. And then I played Warframe because the anniversary weekends are coming up, and Elder Scrolls Online because the Morrowind anniversary came up. And I love
now you know what I mean by eclectic gamer, guys.
Yeah,
just played everything.
I managed to find just a bit of time. I think I spent an hour doing like the other ones, and then I spent maybe about 3 hours with the Anthem on the 15th. Friday night I got to play, and then whatever. Those are a whole different show, and I could talk at length about every single one of those, but we'll just say I was in there, but I was not in there the same time that Sakari was in there, clearly, because I don't think we're friends on Origin yet. I think we are now.
We are as of this afternoon, because I've been collecting...
I accept it, because I haven't been in there yet, but...
I have been collecting friends, because I want to do some group play, like I really do, so...
So I won't go off on a tangent about Anthem, but I have not been in Star Wars: The Old Republic since I finished Ossus.
Yeah.
I
played through it twice. I have played the story twice, and I might have fought through the dailies once. But there's a lot of volume. A lot of people are playing. You're competing for those objectives. You know what I'm saying? It's no better than launch as far as having to work around other people, and when there's a lot of people doing things, sometimes I think it pays to sit back, let people finish it, and move on with their lives, and then you go hit it.
I just don't like ones that take a lot where you have to. The only daily area that I do with any regularity whatsoever is CZ-198. That's about all that. And then sometimes I'll do Black Hole.
Yeah, Black Hole. Yeah,
all the patience that I have because I don't like doing dailies.
Yeah,
I just don't. So I have chores to do at home.
Repetitive content.
I will choose to go do some laundry before I will choose to do chores in my video game live.
It's true. They're chores.
5 people in my house. No. Trust me, I always have laundry to do. So I can't. I do not choose to use my escape platform.
I think the next thing that they should do is like you're in your stronghold, and your dailies are do the laundry and mop the kitchen floor, and you can those are your dailies. You just get in there with your mop and just do the business and.
Or I get some kind of or the flip side would be, can I reach into the screen and grab one of them freaking droids from SWTOR and put it out here to do my laundry so I can play? Now, I would be down with that. Can we do
Exactly.
some cartel market item where you can buy one of those that actually works that I can put in my house to do my laundry?
That will be three hundred
That
thousand
would be,
dollars.
I mean, that would make me really happy. But yeah, so I have yet to do the dailies on Ossis. I have yet to do the dailies on IOCAST.
I did a few of
I
those, yeah.
rarely do. I've never done the dailies on Ilum when they had them
Yeah.
at one point, right? And I was
What about Yavin 4? Have you ever played with those? The Revan
yes, I was
Those
doing
ones are
them
pretty
fairly
good.
regularly for a while, but I kind of after the slicing boxes got nerfed, I kind of stopped because that was really my favorite part was running around and slicing those and like trying to see if you can beat other people for getting them. That was like fun for me. So um, there you go. So we don't have a straw poll this week because we're not really talking about something that is straw pollable, really.
That's true,
We're going
yeah.
to be talking about our opinions about games. However, even when we don't have a straw poll, we always invite chat to please tell us your thoughts, especially if you've played any of these games that we're going to talk about. I'm going to insert
Yes.
one I do not think is on the list, actually, that is an MMO
Put it on
that
there.
I absolutely love. That's not on here, and we'll throw it in and see what people say as well. But yes, please, when we hit each one of these, if you have a thought or a feeling, put it up here and tell us what games you think either you like their business model or you think there maybe could be a challenge for Star Wars The Old Republic, or or there's some aspect of their business model that you think would fit great in Star Wars The Old Republic. We'd like to hear from you. So let us know.
So yes, what we just to reiterate what we're talking about this evening, and it's a complicated subject, right? Because SWTOR is not an island unto itself, right? We have all of these gamers. By the way, gaming, if anybody is behind the times, gaming is a multi-billion-dollar industry. It is interactive media. I think has quickly taken over American culture and at least Western culture, and I'm sure in other parts of the world as well. We aren't in this. We are no longer the type of society where gaming is limited to a couple, three, four teenage boys, in the afternoon after school. If that's how you still think of gaming, you're sadly behind the times. It's a multi-generational thing, which is really cool because we're, have that kind of diversity here on the council. Everybody is gaming.
Dude, I know grandparents that are gaming with their grandchildren.
Right.
Like,
How cool is
it's
that?
intense.
I
Yeah.
saw some,
Well,
there's
we
like a,
know someone who plays with their kids that's a grandparent
yes.
that we know and love. So,
Yes, we do. Yeah,
um,
absolutely. I think I know who you're talking about. Plus, there's more to it than that. I think there was a streamer out there. I saw some thing on her the other day. She's like an octogenarian streamer. She's a little
it's
old lady,
Shirley Curry. She does Skyrim content and she is
and she
amazing and she's
streams it.
80 some.
Octogenarian, by the way, would be somebody in their 80s.
Yes,
Just for
Thank
those
you,
of
she's
you.
like
Rena. Right, yeah.
like 82 or something. I mean, she's like awesome. There's a petition to put her in the next Elder Scrolls
Yeah, to
game.
give her an NPC in her honor, right? Yeah, that would be
She's
so cool.
amazing. I
Yeah.
sub to her channel because I love listening to her. She's so awesome. And she calls all of her viewers grandkids. Like,
it's,
hey, grandkids,
it's probably
time to
completely
go.
appropriate.
It's so awesome.
So
The only way that story gets better is if she ends up meeting somebody her age in her own chat room and they end up having a romance develop from it.
I don't, you know what? I don't know. Is she still married? I don't know.
yeah.
Anyway.
But anyway, so like revision your way of thinking of gaming. If you had this earlier concept, it's gone. That's no longer the way it is. So what you have happen is that all of these people have realized that all of these companies that are all doing their things, they're all competing essentially for, even though it's a very huge pie, but for their slice of the pie, right? And to make their slice of the pie bigger, I only have a certain amount of hours in my day that I can game with something. So all of those are competing for my attention. Everybody wants me to play their game. And so they have different models, different ideas, different things that they come up with to try to win me over and have me play their game. Now, there's a lot of people competing for my attention. And so what we thought we'd do a little bit this episode is compare some of their models, some of what they're all doing, and how they're trying to win me over. And by me, I mean all of us. And does it work or not? And in the midst of all of that discussion, how is SWTOR measuring up? Is SWTOR competitive compared to these others? Does it offer more? Does it offer less? And maybe some on the idea of what could SWTOR do to compete a little better with some of these other games. So, Elise, let me throw it over to you. You had a game that you wanted to throw out there. What we'll probably do is work our way through all of the free-to-play plus some MMOs that are out there and kind of touch on each. Does it sound like a good approach from here? There was one that you wanted to bring up specifically, so why don't you...
Oh, I mean, I added it to the list on the show notes, but it's at the top.
Okay.
Oh, you want me to start?
Sure, absolutely. Take us in.
Okay, so for those of you who don't know, Warframe is actually an MMO.
Okay.
It's what is the actual word? I'm going to mangle it, but it's an instanced MMO, and that is not the actual technical term.
So it's like
it's an instantiated MMO, I believe, is the actual word.
Instantiated? Institutionalized?
It is a free-to-play crafting looter shooter instantiated MMO. Extra Credits just did actually a video that had them Destiny in it. It's an excellent one, but that's what they called it. So yeah, most people I guess maybe don't know that, but it is.
I've heard some things called like a CO RPG or like a cooperative online.
I mean, people start getting into the weeds about what is it, and if you start pulling away the threads and comparing it to a classic MMO, some of these might miss pieces and parts, but
true.
Warframe is still considered an MMO, just like Destiny really to many people is also an MMO. We don't have
and the biggest part you could argue, and although I am told that there does eventually become some significant storytelling in Warframe, but typically when people are saying MMO, and the reason they'll say, oh, well, like Warframe's not an MMO, is because they're really thinking MMORPG. Because if you want to get into the weeds, like all MOBAs are MMOs, right? Because it's a massive online community that can all play. There's a chance that you're going to be matched in together or against each other. So it's a massively multiplayer online game. Most people are thinking of MMORPG, and then when you think more traditional, it's like including things like a massive communal area where everybody can be running into one another,
in a perpetual world.
In a perpetual world,
it continues to exist after you log out.
Right.
So
Anthem would also fit in the same, I believe it's the same kind of MMO, except for the craft. Well, no, it crafts too.
You do crafting,
but it's more of a looter shooter. But it is also instantiated, because when you go out into free play, you don't see other people. You only see the people that are in your group.
Right.
So, and when you go into Fort Tarsis, you only see yourself. You do not see anyone else. So, so Anthem would be in the same kind of classification, but that's different. Right. We're not going to talk about Anthem, but.
So SWTORista's video kind of introduced us to the idea. I read more of what you're talking about like an MMORPG. What are the MMORPGs out there that are basically free to play, and what do they offer in their free to play models, and how is that different to SWTOR? By the way, we're going to put the link in the show notes. So we've got a bunch of these that exist out there, right? And in all honesty, I've only played maybe one or two of these, so this is really where we need chat.
Are not free to play though that are on this list.
Yeah,
three of them are not free to play.
Okay, so which are those that are in this list?
World of Warcraft.
Okay.
It
Final
does have a
Fantasy
free to play
14.
though.
It
Yeah,
has a
but it's a
Free to play to
demo.
trial.
20.
It has
But
a quote
it's a
unquote
trial.
demo. Yeah,
Right.
trial. Yeah, yeah.
It's really not. You can't play the whole game free to play of World of Warcraft.
Okay, so WoW
You
is
can
one.
only level. Elder Scrolls Online is
Okay.
buy to play, and Final
So
Fantasy
it's Guild Wars,
14.
isn't it?
No, Guild Wars 2 is free until you get to the group content, and is it the most recent chapters are buy to play? So
Yes.
it's free to play for the most of the base game, and then if you want to do the
And then
raids
buy
and stuff like
expansions,
that, you
basically.
have to buy the expansions, correct? Um, so it is essentially free to play, buy to play. Elder Scrolls Online is buy to play, completely buy to play, and Final Fantasy 14 is still a subscription model. Like wow, and they have a trial as well. So, and
I would
occasionally they have free. I think they have free subscription periods where you can play the game as though you're subscribed or
by
something.
that rubric. Well, I guess by that rubric, strictly speaking, SWTOR isn't a free to play game then either, because you only get the first 50 levels.
Correct.
You could consider it buy to play because you put $15 in for 1 month and you unlock everything. But then it's, there are still restrictions without
Yes.
the sub.
Can I suggest we make an adjustment to the rubric, i.e., the list of rules that we're kind of gauging these by?
It's like building a D&D board here.
Yes, it's true. So I think what we're talking about is the kind of game where they offer something, whatever that is, for free. There's some kind of content, there's some kind of way to play the game for free, but how much do they offer? What is all kind of that's I think what we need to compare.
Um, I mean, we can, but to be honest with you, I have definite ones that I think are even better than most of the free to play games on here. That would be the one would be my favorite out of those three I just highlighted that aren't free to play. Um, is ESO.
Right.
And even though it's buy to play, it's only $5 more than subscribing to Star Wars The Old Republic for the entire base game, and you're not restricted from playing their
Anything
version
new.
of raids
Yeah.
or the PvP, or it's all of it is unlocked and available
Yeah.
to you.
Isn't it though that game doesn't have the trifecta, the role trifecta?
Yes, it does.
Does it?
I heal in Elder Scrolls Online.
Okay.
The only difference is that every class, so basically every class is like a sorc or a sage. You can heal, tank, or DPS on every class.
Yes. Okay, so it has them. It's just how you build them out, I suppose, or how you equip them.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
So you can
I've
heal
played a
or
little bit of
DPS
that.
Or a trooper
tank.
or a bounty hunter. I see what you're saying.
Correct.
Yeah, right. The base classes, because
Correct.
you can choose which direction to go with.
Correct. And there are abilities on every single class that allow you to do that. Plus, you heal with the healing staff, and you can put the healing staff on anybody. So, it's just
Which I think is
a little bit better
actually
than-
that's a step closer to reality, right? Because and this really like forgive me from going back to my Star Wars Galaxies days, but poof, here I am in the world. I'm a nobody, and I don't pick my class when I start. I'm just am what I am, and whatever I go equip myself with, and whatever I go start doing is what I get better at. And I like that model. I know this is a total sidebar, but like if I wanted to start dancing, I go start dancing, and I get better and gain that kind of XP, and I get better at it. And I think that's kind of a little bit of the model that's in ESO is that, hey, if I want to have a staff, I want a staff, and if I want to go start healing, I can start healing, and you can kind of tweak your character to be a healer, no matter what you start out as. Even though I know you start out as a kind of like a with some base characteristics. So.
Mm-hmm. And the other thing with PvP and ESO, there really isn't any like tank PvPers or healer PvPers or just DPS PvPers. Everybody has a little bit of all of those things because otherwise you get wrecked.
Right.
So everybody has some healing ability on their character. Everybody has kind of a defensive tanky ability on their character. If you don't, the healers wear heavy armor because if you don't, you get wrecked. So
Right.
it's just the nature of the game. because you can do all those things. That's what.
Back to the business model.
No, I think that factors in though, because it's that's the player experience, you know. And you're right, Red. I know it's not technically business model, but it's product. I want to say. So it's like, what do I, as the player, want to experience?
Yeah, and for me, I would love it if Star Wars: The Old Republic would get closer to ESO than some of the other free-to-play MMOs that we have available to talk about. So
well, and I think just from a
what I had
content production process, that is what a lot of people would like. You know, anybody that can actually first meet schedules and second be touching all aspects of their game in a year. Yeah, it's been half a decade since we've had that.
And I mean,
SWTOR.
it's an ESO's killing it. It has been
Right.
rocking for 2 years now, like hitting on all cylinders. But anyway, we can go back to the other ones on this list. But I just wanted to just put that out there, and then
Right.
we can go. Yes, it's not free. You have to pay.
So help me understand. Okay, WoW was our first one that's kind of paid. Really, you know, doesn't really. We're saying it disqualifies. It's really
Final Fantasy 14 is also
okay.
really a subscription model.
Right. And what's the other?
Does it? WoW. Elder Scrolls Online is buy to play.
Okay.
Oh, Guild Wars 2 is half free to play and half buy to play.
Okay. So that means that if what we're talking about is things like Star Trek Online.
And remember, ESO is not, I mean, Star Wars: The Old Republic is also not fully free to play either.
Okay.
If you want to raid or PvP more than 5 times a week, you have to pay a subscription. You can't do that.
So every one of them, I mean, like, there are a lot of these games say, okay, what we're going to do is we're going to allow people to play something. But the question is then, what are we going to allow them to do? How far can they level a character? How much of the story can they experience? And what activities in the world, in the game, are we going to allow them to participate in? And if so, to what extent? I think those are really what they have to wrestle with in order to come up with a free-to-play model. Some of them make it more, like I know in the case we're just talking about WoW, they make it so that this game there's a little bit of free-to-play, but actually it's a demo. And they cut you off right, you know, real early, and you get to level 20, and then that's the taste. So do you want to pay for the rest of the thing, basically? And I think all of these free-to-play models are designed in a way to make the game adware, right? So that it's something that you want to buy, and then you unlock, or you allow yourself actually really to access the rest of the game. So they're there to let you have a taste. They're there to try to hook you and make you play the rest of it. So what else are we talking about? Star Trek Online is mostly free to play, and I kind of wish Jem was here to answer some of the questions.
I know, I do too. That she was the first person I thought of.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have never played Star Trek Online.
I've dabbled with it.
I like Star Trek, but I don't really feel like playing.
I've dabbled with it, but you know what I realized actually, and this is you want to talk about product differences. I am so spoiled by SWTOR with everything voiced and acted that it's actually hard to get into other traditional MMOs because I'm so used to stuff being acted. So to me, the fact that SWTOR has changed my expectations of what MMOs are capable of, I think is quite huge in that.
Is it not? Is it all like text based or whatever? Star Wars.
Yeah, I mean, like a lot of it, it's a lot more text based, that's for sure. But like the main missions are the main missions, but they pop up in a little window on your screen, and you see the person kind of talking in a little window, you know. And it's not as, I mean, it's not as, the animation isn't as good. So I mean, it's great in its own right, you know. But it's just my expectations I think have been changed by. I can't speak to Lotro, but I believe that should be on this list. I don't know if any in chat can.
Right above Star Trek.
Yes. Black Desert Online. Has anybody here dabbled with that game?
I have. When it came out, I watched quite a few videos. The character creator is amazing. I don't know if you guys remember when Black Desert came over. So it's a Korean MMO that came over.
Okay.
So it came out about the same time as the one that's above it on our list, which is Blade and Soul. They came out like a couple of months apart.
Okay.
So lots of people, when Black Desert Online hit, like posted their like characters. It just amazing pictures. They have things like fishing and stuff. I think they have housing, right? But other than that, I don't know a ton about Black Desert Online.
I've seen
Other
some
than
of it streamed, and from what I saw in the stream, it was like, I mean, there's a lot of aspects of MMOs that I wish SWTOR had its own version of. For instance, if I want to go fishing in Black Desert Online, you can go fishing. You know, just sit there and just reel in fish, and if that's what you want to do with your day, that's what you can. And I think that's really cool. You can't do anything like that in SWTOR. You know,
Yeah, well, the only fishing involved in the Star Wars universe generally is by using clones as bait for sand beasts. That's the only thing I've ever seen.
nobody must fish in Star
Or
Wars.
no, like the clones were using the only non-human as bait. That's right.
I suppose you could moisture farm. I don't know how riveting an experience that would be.
Well, it involves long gazing at the sunset, I believe. That's what I learned from Luke, anyway.
Yes.
Well, I haven't actually seen a lot of cooking in the Star Wars universe either, at least
It's
not
true.
in the movie.
Like a lot of other MMOs have some kind of provisioning, I think they call it, right? In ESO, or some kind of some kind of chefmanship.
Yeah, I feel like 90% of the food I've seen in the movies has been bar food.
Yeah.
True.
Cantinas,
And it wasn't even human bar food. It's other other species bar food
Right.
that
Right.
moves off.
Well, we did see Chewbacca cooking. He never ate his food, but
Right.
we did.
Oh, you're
pork.
talking about the last movie.
Rotisserie
Yeah.
rotisserie porg.
Awesome. I wish he had bit into it though. I mean, obviously he's a carnivore species, so frickin' he should have just been looking at him and been like, just like, yeah, that's right. I ate this one.
So Starhawk Ranger in chat says you can you fish and farm and cook in Lord of the Rings Online. So that's good to know.
Oh, I did know they pick flowers and they make jewelry, I thought. Or at
You
least you
pick
somehow
flowers?
get jewelry.
So you could be a florist.
Well, I mean, I imagine it's much like ESO, where it's part of the alchemy craft.
Yes, yeah.
Thing.
It's inputs to some
Okay, so like herbalist, basically.
herbalist. That sounds a lot more distinguished than
Yeah.
what was it that you had? The florist.
I mean, I think that would be super cool that like you could boost your whatever abilities by giving somebody some flowers. That would be freaking awesome. I think that would make the environment quite nice. Maybe a little bit more festive and communal.
Well, so that's one thing I think, like, comparing our disciplines in this game to disciplines in other games. We have now I'm suddenly forgetting the name of it. The artifice, I think it is, that you're actually working on crystals and stuff. That's as close to like a jewelry maker as we have.
Mm-hmm.
And I know a lot of other MMOs, like a piece of jewelry can be imbued with magical properties, right? It gives you some. I wonder, maybe. I mean, we have like why can't an artifice create holocrons? And holocrons give you. I mean, like if you start to think. Borrowing ideas from other MMOs, it kind of makes your ideas cooler, I want to say. Like, if you can make a holocron as an artifice, what can that do for you? Is there knowledge that you have, or does it unlock something?
Holocrons, I think you mean a datacron, because holocrons are force-specific creations.
Yeah, well...
You have to be a force user to be able to do it.
Well, maybe
and you don't have to be a force user to do artifice.
So well,
just to be a pain in the butt.
No, that's a good point. I'm just sitting here thinking, how do you make that work?
But then you could have different kinds, right? Because we have synth weaving makes armor for force users, and
or if they were
well, cybernetic should certainly be able to make certain components that you can put into things, right? Like it doesn't even need to be like for a person to embed in themselves, but it could be, a piece of intelligent hardware, software that enhances your weaponry,
cyber tech,
stuff like that.
Yeah. They should all be able to make components that other ones can use in theirs, and then they can combine components. Well, like you have like versions of the same type of component that your class creates, and then they can create a thing using one of those, that has that aspect to it. I just think crafting in this game was in SWTOR is unfortunate the way that it turned out. I mean, that could have been so cool. But anyway,
Yeah.
I don't have much hope for change,
Us,
as you can
us,
tell.
us later adopters, I know there's people who've gotten into it, but I just found it just too overwhelming to even
I would
invest
say it's
in.
not overwhelming enough. It's my point is almost the complete opposite. I'm like, there's no use for this. Like, sure,
I mean,
you
I
can
do
there's
too,
some
but
complexity to the recipes, but the utility of it is there's maybe 5% of what you can actually create that's actually you know. Maybe Redna, you can help me think through that a little bit more, but I don't know. I know we're talking products. We kind of have
yeah.
I
two
want
veins of
to.
thought. One is product and one is business model, and I think you can't really escape one or do one without the other.
Well, so let me, and then you guys can correct following, but I think I can summarize the three basic formats with some slight variants of the vast majority of the MMOs on the market, right? So we've already used most of these terms, right? So there's a subscription model, which is sub up and get it. And then there's also the buy it and then subscribe model. That's kind of the original model that, is grandfathered into like games of even World of Warcraft, where I think you still have to buy the expansion and maintain your sub to play, right? But then there are like SWTOR is arguably the closest to the pure just subscription model, where you sub, you're access to everything.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to be buying expansions. You don't have to buy the base game. It really is at this stage mostly a subscription model game. Guild Wars 2 is, that the buy to play falls into it, right? So you've got the buy to play where you buy it once and then you get full access to whatever it is that you bought.
With
and
the
then if they add
exception,
something to it, you buy that
yes,
and you get full access.
That was SWTOR's original model. That's how it started.
Yeah, you had to buy the
Well, except you
right?
still needed the sub.
True.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
The game started with
That's
the
true.
buy and the sub. And then
Like,
when they gave their free to play option, they let you play through the story elements. Well, I mean, we'll get into the details on that. But I mean, realistically,
I want to say buy to play, at least as a player, buy to play is the model that I feel the most respected with. I'm not a cash cow. You know what I'm saying? They say what they do is, as the business, they go, okay, we're going to make a game people want to buy. And so they get their they raise the money, whatever they have to do. They get investors. They put together a product, and then they do the windfall. It's an investment, right? The day that they publish the game, people buy it. Ooh, they play it. It's great. Whatever. They make all their money back, and hopefully then some, which they can then channel into making the first expansion, which then people buy. As the player, I feel like that one respects me the most because I can go buy their game, play their game. If I want to quit, I quit. But there's no way to like to juice extra money out of me.
There is.
Well, they all are going
It's
to
called
at this
cash
stage.
up.
It's
Everybody
called a
has
shop.
cash up.
Yeah, well,
Everybody
but
has a cash up.
that's that's
So like the cartel market and SWTOR.
Yeah.
yes,
Right.
MTX.
Because they all incorporate a means of microtransactions. Actually, I believe that World of Warcraft still has one of the most minuscule aspects of this of most of the MMOs.
Yeah.
Like there are mounts that you can buy to get it to ride in the game or whatever, but it's not a hugely expansive
Right.
But
they don't limit my
I think
gameplay
have...
based on that. See, when they limit your gameplay, then we're done with buy to play. When they say, okay, there's certain aspects you can't play, or they're gate
constraints
content
on access to
right.
Yeah.
I do think WoW though has they have a token that you can boost your character up to max rank or something, right?
Oh,
like
sure, you
SWTOR
can buy max.
I don't know.
It's either max level or 5 under,
right.
but yeah, they
something
definitely
like
have
that.
a buy.
And that was a recent addition, if I remember correctly, for Battle of Azeroth or something like that they put.
I think it was a few before that, but it is more recent. I mean, keeping in mind that frickin' World of Warcraft has been around for what, 15 or
pretty close,
almost 20 years.
2009, was it 2009 or something like that, right?
I want to say 2006.
2005 or something like that.
Yeah, somewhere back there.
So I think it's 15 or 15 years old. Yeah.
So basically, those are the three basic formats, and then you get variants on it, and that is the key point, right? Is that they have all now incorporated some means, and I understand why. And actually, this was something that happened when they added the cartel market for Star Wars: The Old Republic. I was around when so many people were so excited that they had done that, because effectively there was no way for them to give more money to the developers. Like they wanted a means of saying, listen, I love the game this much, I want to pay you more than $15 a month. And other than start arbitrarily, starting another account and subbing up with multiple accounts, which is kind of asinine, they were really excited. There are people that I know in those first couple of years of the cartel market, they prided themselves on spending a couple $100s a month on the cartel market. And they would show up at cantinas and talk to Musco and say, hey, listen, we really love how much you're doing. I like using this cartel market so that I can keep giving you guys money, Now, there may be some flawed thinking in that process, fine, or the rationale. I mean, I don't have that kind of discretionary income, so maybe it's not flawed. It's just I might be a little envious that I don't have that kind of money to throw around. But and this is where the whales come in, because then they can support that. Now the problem comes when you don't see the fruits of that financial investment coming back to you from the devs. But I can see
that's not financial investment,
positive side from it.
I see how you can see that as financial investment, because people are like, we want to reward the game, we want you to be able to do more, so how can we do? I get that,
right?
But they are offering a product that I purchase, so they're the ones making the financial investment.
Right, but that's not how, if you get on any forum, that's not what you see a large group of people who absolutely say that.
I think it's a flawed mindset. How about I say it that way?
I need this back, so yeah.
Now, I would actually argue that there could be a case made for the fact that a free-to-play model, a pure free-to-play model, where you can have full access to the game, all the playable aspects of it, and it's entirely financed off of the microtransactions, the non, pay to win but still free-to-play model.
Mm-hmm.
I could see that actually being the most respectful for the players, better than buy to win. And yeah, Elise is mouthing that this is Warframe.
Pay to win.
Buy to play.
Okay.
I
was gonna say pay to win.
So your argument is buy to play. I could see a pure free to play model, because what that does is actually put the onus on the developers that they have to continue to be providing enough that people continue playing their game and continue being tempted or desire to use their marketplace to give them money. Right?
I
agree conceptually.
Right. Now, Fortnite is actually a great example, because PUBG does not have the free-to-play model like that. But Fortnite came along and said, hey, listen, we have enough of a similarity of engaging gameplay, but we're just going to get money from you through these microtransactions, which also made...
However...
For the Battle Royale mode, the regular Fortnite, you still have to buy.
Yeah, so here, let me throw a counterpoint out.
I only in the past couple of days found out there was any other aspect of Fortnite, because let's be honest, their money is coming from that free to play.
So, hang on though. What happens is that your audience changes. You get the people who can afford the free to play are who? Your teenagers and 12-year-olds.
Yeah, but
so you get a chunk more of that in your.
But Fortnite is killing it.
Sure,
until Apex came out, apparently Apex is blowing that whole industry over.
Yeah, but Fortnite has made so much money they can afford to let Apex pull some off. Fortnite basically is wrecking all the AAA developers like income streams. It is a force to be reckoned with.
This is the kind of competitive disruption I want this industry to have. Yeah. It's great.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's fun at least to watch. Eat the popcorn.
I mean, and Ninja became a household name because of Fortnite.
Yes. Yeah.
So it is not only is it hitting on
a streamer and a Fortnite streamer,
but Twitch is benefiting exceptionally from Fortnite and its streamers, because Fortnite is usually at the top of the directory at Twitch.
Well, of course, but, I mean, Twitch is literally a leech.
So,
the entire business model is, we want to leech off of the notoriety you can create for yourself.
Well, they facilitate the notoriety.
They give you a place to stream with an generally easily interfaceable place to do it. And now they've also got the directory where that's where the viewers are, but they're still leeching off of their content.
If we go back to the business model and we look at the three different types, and then we look at SWTOR, I think our original kind of premise was we were talking about these things in the perspective of Star Wars: The Old Republic, right?
Uh-huh.
So And maybe we should finish just not talk about them, but the other ones that are in this kind of free to play category were also, what is it? What's Anon? I've never played it.
Ion. I
Ion.
think it's free to
Okay.
play now. It's probably mostly dead.
What Ultima Online, I believe, is still free to play. The servers are still on. Are they?
The
Yeah,
lights are
I
on.
know it's still
The
on. I
servers
don't
are
know.
still
It might be
on.
buy to play though. You might need to buy the game once.
People, I think people like. I think they have a cash shop, and that's what's running the game. Ask a Game Dev actually brought that up as a example of a game that's still going, but they've cut back because whatever, but they can still keep the lights on.
Money pays for the electric bill, basically.
What is the Conan game? I don't remember. Okay, there you go.
Age of
Age
Conan.
of Conan.
I just googled it because I don't. I've heard about that forever. It was not one that appealed to me. Apparently, there's a lot of nudity in that.
Uh-huh.
That's been the legendary.
Turn it off if you want.
Yeah.
EVE Online is also
Okay.
free, right? And was there anything else? No, I think that's. I'm sure there's ones that we've forgotten about.
Oh yeah.
And then if you go, so if we're gonna stay with RPGs as opposed to just games,
Yeah,
then
that's
that would
apples
be.
to apples, I would say. Although IP to IP, it's hard to compare sometimes.
Yeah. So maybe we should talk about. Should we talk about real quick? We don't have a ton of time, but what we like from some of these other competitors that we'd like to see in Star Wars: The Old Republic.
I think that's a great idea.
I want to talk about what Star Wars: The Old Republic does that's not as good as these other games that make the competition a little bit more.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of aspects that are better. Like I said, like the whole acted, where every single conversation you have in the game is voiced, I think has altered my perception of what MMOs can do. So when I play some of the other ones, that's very lacking. But then the crafting of other MMOs, very broad brush, tends to be better, I want to say. So there are aspects I think that SWTOR does really well, and aspects where it's not quite as good. I do think, one of the things that we could do for this part here is to talk about some of the free-to-play aspect.
Yeah, for SWTOR, I think flat out we should be all the way up to max cap level should be free-to-play. Flat out. Like there are certain things that I could say. Originally, when they launched with the cartel market and they did their free-to-play mode, if you weren't a paying subscriber, you could actually use cartel coins in order to unlock a week pass to do operations or to play PvP or whatever. Now, you actually never had any functional way to do ranked PvP without a subscription. Yeah. But that was like the only thing that you were content blocked from gaining some kind of temporary access to or unlocking by paying for it.
You know what I wish they would do in this game was they would say, okay, because I'm okay with the buy to play on the expansion. Hey, I bought Rise of the Cartel.
I would like to see that.
I'd be okay with that, but I wish they would introduce into the cartel market a Rise of the Hutt Cartel token that I, as a person who wants to buy that in the cartel market, can buy that expansion, and then I can put it if I want on the GTN, and that allows people
trade it with a friend.
People that want to grind in-game currency to purchase it from me. I get the cash reward, so they get the game, but somebody's still paying for it. Why is that not in this game? You know what I'm saying? Because allow anybody to pay for it and allow anybody to use it.
Or World of Warcraft allows you to grind out in-game currency to actually pay for your subscription.
Right.
I don't think there's a ton of people who do that, but
find a way to monetize it where they still make the money, but allow don't have it set up so that you are the person who has to purchase it in order for you to use it. You purchase it, allow someone else to use it, but then we still make the money from you having purchased it. Who cares who uses it after that? So
and to that I totally agree. The ability to purchase something like from the cartel, the GTN, but it originally came with a set dollar value price that had to be paid.
Right.
But the problem with playing the game in some fashion
like
in order to generate a currency that allows you to pay for your subscription or whatever, that just becomes fraught with problems when it comes to like Chinese farmers and stuff like that, because there are people that can literally financially benefit from exploiting whatever system gets put into place,
Yeah.
and that's quite illegal.
Yeah, no, that.
Yeah, but we already have that now, though. I mean,
Yeah.
there are people who are
Well,
gold
and
players already, and
that's why
so
the
is
free
the
to play
Republic.
players don't,
So
or they've got those credit caps, right? They can't actually carry more. So that, which is a means of like, in order for a Chinese farmer to be able to get infinite credit value in order to be able to sell that on the open market, sure, that's possible, but they do have to be paying for a subscription in order to have that, unlocked. So, the BioWare is going to let that float a little bit because at least they're making money off of that.
By the way, so that introduces into this discussion. I don't know, we're running out of time, but like the aspect that, hey, we say free to players, we should allow them to have access to all of the cash that they generate. No more stuff in the name of that account.
escrow.
Escrow. Thank you. But actually, it's a measure that BioWare put in place to stop credit selling. So it's more complicated, and I think that's a very good point, Redna. That having heard that argument, having reminded me of that and made sense of that a little bit for me, makes me think, okay, no, I think I like the escrow idea for free to play. Whereas beforehand I thought, well, let's get rid of it. Why are you making it so hard on them?
You know what? For me, I don't really care because I have enough friends in the game that I can stash my credits with them and go buy me blah 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 please for me and whatever.
Kirk.
But my
hashtag.
I've got some friends
I've
that
already said that.
I knew who you were talking about too.
Oh, pretty good. But I mean, I would imagine any of my still subscribing people, when the time would come for me to unsubscribe, would do that. But the other pieces of the free to play for Star Wars: The Old Republic are just really infuriating.
Dude,
right.
Limited bag space, that's just a douche move. Like,
or like when you get started and you can't run until, what was it, level 10 or 15 or something? It's something stupid.
That's back in my day.
You can't like talk to people in chat. Like, how are you supposed to like well, you can't do raids anyway because you use whatever.
Talking to people in chat is the same thing. There's like, you can only put one chat message every 30 seconds or whatever. And that's because they don't want the Chinese farmers to be constantly spamming his bots, But again, I'm just saying, it's like, this is why we can't have nice things.
Right. Well, but that might be, but it just it then basically makes the free-to-play part not really an MMO. It makes it much more like you're playing a single-player game. And so it doesn't end up being an apples-to-apples comparison to me, as opposed to, say, Elder Scrolls Online, where you buy the base game and there's no difference between you and someone who does the optional sub, which you don't actually have to play the game to its fullest.
Yeah.
So
at the very least, I think what they should do is open up to free-to-players things that free-to-players would be doing. I can understand restrictions if you're trying to not allow a Chinese gold seller to access it. I get the chat restrictions, the escrow, etc. That makes sense. But allow them to do PvP, please, and allow them to do operations, please. Your operations community is already hurting. I mean, and it's all old content. Just allow them to run the operations. Maybe limit gods from the machine. That's new. I get it, But like, allow them to go do, because more people in that community would only benefit.
Or like Neff said, like, I want them to have full access all the way up to max level. And Neff had a great point, except immediately after an expansion, when you increase the level by 5, give a gated time period that they don't have access to that until, all that content has become old, I love that. Fair. I don't think that there should be a limit on character slots. I don't think that there should be a limit on...
Well, that makes sense, though, from the gold farmer thing, limit on character slots.
Well, not really, because they've got their account-wide credit cap.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know. It's the playable species thing is it's kind of okay because you can unlock those on the cartel market still today. It's kind of like buying outfits. A species is basically just an outfit.
It's cosmetic. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, it's a cosmetic. It's
it's like buying skins in a cash shop for, say, Anthem. I mean, it's essentially the same. Yeah.
Right.
Quick bars. Give the people the quick bars already.
Yeah,
what
absolutely.
on earth?
To use.
Have you ever tried playing an operative?
That is a douche move too.
An operative with anywhere less than 6 quick bars is like almost impossible to play. They have so many stinking skills. Oh my goodness.
Well,
Some of the
and
others can get
what
away
the
with
heck
it.
is the nitpickiness of limited flashpoint drop rewards? Like, who even thought of that in the first place? Like, ooh, let's really stick it to them and make their life miserable. We're gonna limit what they get from their flashpoints. You know, it's like so cruel.
And knowing what
Or
we
a
know,
personal bank. You should get a personal bank. Come on.
yeah.
Yeah, right.
Well, I think you still can get a personal bank. You're just limited in the number of tabs that you can get for it.
Yeah, well,
Well,
everybody is when you start. And it's not, yeah, you
but-
can acquire more, I think.
Yeah, but I think you can only unlock so many like bank tabs as a free to play person. You can get like 5, right, as a subscriber.
You're talking about tabs
But I
or like
think
lines?
No, I'm
So
talking
you've
about
actually
the
been
tabs
on the
thing.
GTN and unlocked account-wide tabs on your entire bank. You can do that. The reason I did that is because now every character that I create automatically
All
has
6 or
the
whatever.
entire bank unlocked. And that's not something you can actually do through a game feature with game credits. It's actually something that you have to get from the cartel market. So that's something where I go onto the GTN and, you know, I'm glad that someone else has spent the real life money to put that out there for me.
Yeah.
So just one more thing too. The other thing of the way that SWTOR has its free to play model set up that hurts everyone, in my opinion, is that you're teaching people basically to play the game as a single player experience. It's
Yes.
no wonder that Kotfi
It's
and
not an MMO,
Kotek
yeah.
were designed essentially
this
very
group.
much like single player game
no.
experiences.
Kopfi and Kotet, if you'll remember, actually was it was unique compared to the rest of the entire game.
Right.
In as much as they actually instanced things and prevented you from even letting your
Right.
friend come in with you.
Right. So, but
Yeah.
my point is,
It turned the
that
game
they
into an RPG.
basically, correct, but they
Yeah.
basically taught people to play that way because I can only imagine that there's more free to play players.
Or
than
they
there are
ran
subscribers.
off all the MMO people, and only the people that like RPGs stuck around. So you it's not that you train people any kind of way. What you do is you like purify your audience. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like you run people away and you bring people in, and what you are left with is RPG players, and
Right.
that's not good for
Single
an MMO.
player.
What?
Single player RPG
Yeah.
players, not MMO RPG players, correct. And so that's what they wanted. I mean, and then that's what you're left with, and that's what they want to play. So, and I kind of, looking on the forums, I just noticed this pattern too when I'm reading. All these people were like, yeah, Kotfi and Kotet were awesome. We're like, boo, I don't like Office. So, yeah. So, let's not screw free players over, be my final.
Yes. Think carefully about what we want to how
So
to help
put it up
them
a
out.
little bit more.
Yeah.
Well, okay, and actually, I'm glad I put this note in because I almost forgot to say it too at the end here. Talk about a perfect opportunity because we mentioned other games that we play and like Anthem. So if I decide that I want to play Anthem once they've actually got it functioning, I am planning on paying their $15 premiere in order to gain access to it. Because you can pay $15 and get the library of EA games. And I know that there's like, I want to play Unraveled 2 through anyway. So even if it turns out that I just don't enjoy the game, my $15 will get used on Unravel 2. But mychange.org petition idea is that I want SWTOR to be included in the Premier program.
No, not
Their
Premier. Access.
Okay, the
It would
$5
be
one.
fine as the $5 one.
Okay,
Yes,
whatever.
it would fit
One
right in.
of the Origin subscription, or both, I guess, right? Is because frankly, there's really no reason it shouldn't be there. I'd like to see that, and I would also like to see their free-to-play model be one in which you how to say this. I want them to actually give essentially the entire game in the free-to-play model. Do a cost-benefit analysis. What percentage of the revenue that this game is generating is really just coming from that cartel market? Because I bet it's actually it's well over 50%. And
well, the game didn't actually make a profit until it went free to play. So
right,
that
exactly.
That is in a
So
way
you're helping
your
his point, yeah, absolutely.
Right. No, and that's
Yeah.
exactly my point, which is that I think that the cartel market is actually the revenue generator that is really driving everything. And if you let literally anybody and their brother play the game in the free-to-play model, you're actually going to drive up participation. And then there's going to be people like myself, even, or I've actually got lots of friends like that play League of Legends, and every quarter they've got set aside, like $50 to $100 that they just spend on skins or whatever. Like they budget because they like the game that much and there's no subscription to it or whatever. The only way that game is making money is from their free-to-play market. So they like the game enough. They think it's worth it.
What they would be paying on a
for.
subscription, they just save up and then go blow on them. Yeah.
And that's what Warframe
Microtransactions.
does as well.
Yeah.
People will throw money at Warframe just to support the developers because it's full to play, full free to play game.
Right. So
okay.
That's what's in my pipe. You can smoke it.
Right. All right. So I believe what we should. We have no announcements, no patron feedback we want to talk about specifically this week. Elise, I believe we can go into the thank yous.
So thank you, everyone. I'm not as good as Magic, so I can't go through all the lists or do it as well as her. But thank you all for showing up and supporting us and watching and chit-chatting in our chat. And retweeting or liking our posts when we say that we're going to be on, or watching on YouTube or downloading the podcast. Thank you all. We really do appreciate it. Those of you who comment or send us emails, we really do actually read them and we talk about them. And thank you for those too. So
I want to throw one in. Thank you for those of you who have a tremendous amount of patience when we skip a week. Admittedly, like I have been half the reason we've skipped stuff of late since like December. It's been mostly my fault.
Oh, and one more.
Well, this is what happens when you turn 60. Your body just starts falling apart.
Level 60.
And last, thank you, SWTOR, for letting us talk about your topic and letting us borrow your icon. Actually, SWTOR supports us and listens to the show.
Link in the show notes for her
video. And lets us know when she thinks we had a good show, or debates if we if she has a disagreement with one of our statements in the show. We still like that too.
Dude, I love the corrections. I do. And quite frankly, I'd be a hypocrite if I didn't, because I send them into other podcasts all the time.
So thank you to SWTOR. We appreciate
Absolutely.
it.
And that brings us to the end of the episode. The council is adjourned. If you'd like to reach us, you can email us at thecouncil@thecouncilswotor.com. Like our Facebook page at facebook.com/thecouncilswotor. And you can find Elise on Twitter at abrown35, Magic Ace at the Magic Ace, myself at R3DM4, and Sakari at I am Sakari. Also, don't forget our Patreon page at patreon.com/thecouncilswotor, where patrons can catch the articles we're talking about behind the scenes, and exclusive backstage access to our after show chat. That's it for this week, guys. Hello, what have we here?
I understand.
You are on this council, but we do not grant you the rank of master.
What? How can you do this? This is outrageous. It's unfair. How can you be on the council and not be a master?
Take a seat, young Skywalker.
Forgive me, Master.